Every instinct says, this dove trusts you. Every fact says something else is happening. There's a dove on the lawn about 2 meters from where you're standing. You've stepped closer, slowly, and she hasn't moved. Her eyes are open. Her body looks ready, in the way an athlete looks ready before the gun, but she stays. Most people read this scene one way: tame bird, trusting bird. A small wild thing that has chosen, for some unspoken reason, to let you in. It's a flattering story. It's also, almost always, wrong. She's not staring because she likes you. She's staring because moving would cost her something. Today, I want to walk you through what that something usually is, and, more importantly for the way this channel tends to work, what you should be listening for in the seconds and minutes that follow. Because, in a moment like this, the dove has gone quiet on purpose. The sounds you can hear, and the ones you can't, are doing more work than the visible scene suggests. Start by noticing what's missing. A mourning dove on alert, free to leave, almost never gives you this scene. The default behavior is takeoff. And takeoff in a mourning dove is one of the loudest, small things in an American backyard. That high, thin, almost mechanical whistle that rises from the wings as the bird flushes. Wing whistle isn't vocalization. It's the sound of air pushed through specifically shaped feathers, particularly the outer primaries. The structure produces it whether the bird wants it to or not. So when a mourning dove freezes instead of flushing, the first acoustic fact is this: the whistle didn't happen. The sound your ear was expecting, the sound that comes packaged with every other close-range startle from this species, has been withheld. It's withheld for a reason. The bird has made a calculation. The calculation isn't conscious in the way human calculation is. It's the legacy of millions of years of doves who flew at the wrong moment and were eaten, and doves who stayed still and weren't. The freeze response is one of the oldest survival strategies in the columbid family. It's older than the country you live in. It's older than the language we use to describe it. What I'd ask you to do, in the seconds when you notice this is happening, is something specific. Don't focus on the bird's eye. Focus on the absence of wing whistle. The silence where a sound should be is the first piece of evidence you have. It tells you the dove has chosen stillness over flight. Now the only question worth asking is why. There's a frame people reach for, and I want to set it aside before we go further. The frame is that the dove has assessed you, found you safe, and chosen to remain. It's intuitive. It's wrong by enough margin to be worth correcting. Mourning doves are prey animals. Their threat assessment isn't a verdict on your character. It's a probability estimate. The estimate factors in distance, your speed, your direction, whether you've spotted them, and, crucially, what they have to lose by flying. A dove with nothing nearby that requires defending will almost always choose flight. Flight is cheap. The wing whistle is loud and a little startling, but it puts 30 feet between the bird and the threat in under a second. Freeze is the more expensive option. Freeze means staying in range of a possible predator, and betting that stillness plus cryptic coloration, plus the breath held flat against the chest will make the bird unnoticeable. The bet pays off often enough to be selected for, evolutionarily, but it's a bet a dove will only take when flying away would be worse. That's the key inversion. Freeze isn't trust. Freeze is constraint. Something, somewhere, very close to the bird, usually within a few meters, has tied her decision in place. The job of the listener, from here on, is to figure out what. There are 3 reasons, in roughly descending order of frequency, why a mourning dove will hold this freeze when you'd expect flight. The first is a nest. Mourning dove nests are notoriously easy to miss. Flat, sparse platforms of twigs, often only a few meters above the ground. In places like the inside crook of a porch beam, the joint where 2 branches meet on a low evergreen, or a hanging planter that hasn't been moved in weeks. If the dove on the ground is the mate of a sitting bird, or if she herself has just left a nest a few feet above your head, the freeze has a purpose. Drawing your eye to her keeps it off the nest. Flying would mean a wing whistle, which is exactly the attention-pulling sound a parent dove doesn't want released at this moment. Listen, when you've registered the freeze for what's happening above you, squabs, the term for mourning dove nestlings, make a soft, almost wet-sounding peeping when they're hungry or disturbed. It's not loud. It's closer to the sound a wet finger makes drawn slowly across a balloon, low and intermittent. If you hear it, the freeze just got explained. The second reason is a fledgling on the ground, not yet a confident flyer, sometimes within just a few feet of the parent. Fledgling doves are surprisingly hard to see. They sit very still in grass or under low shrubs, breast feathers fluffed, mimicking the texture of leaf litter. The parent's freeze is a distraction display in its quietest form. If you hear a faint rustle in nearby ground cover, or a single soft chirp very different from an adult coo, that's likely what's near. The third reason is the one I want you to take most seriously, because it changes what you do next. The dove may be injured or sick. A bird with reduced flight capacity will freeze not by strategy, but by limitation. The acoustic clue here is a partner not answering. Healthy mourning doves in season are usually within calling range of a mate. If you stand quietly for a full minute and hear no answering coo from anywhere in the surrounding trees, and the bird in front of you doesn't try to call either, the silence has weight. It's a different silence from the strategic kind. It's the silence of a bird that can't produce the normal signal in a landscape that isn't reaching for her. There's a difference between a calm frozen dove and a terrified frozen dove, and learning to read it changes what you do. A calm frozen dove, usually a nest-defending parent, sits with breast feathers held smooth against the body, head slightly turned to keep one eye on you. The pupil, if you can see it without getting closer, will look more or less normal. Her breathing, visible at the throat and breast, will be steady. The whole posture has a held quality, like a person waiting in a doctor's office, not a person hiding in a closet. A frightened frozen dove holds the same outward stillness, but tells you something different in the details. The breast feathers may be pulled tight against the body in a way that makes the bird look unusually slim. The breathing speeds up, often enough that you can see the throat working. The eye widens. The head freezes at a slightly unnatural angle, often with the neck stretched higher than feels natural. The acoustic correlate matters here. A calm parent will sometimes give a single, almost inaudible contact call, a brief low coo, much softer than the territorial coo ahh, coo, 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 most people associate with the species. It's the sound of a bird checking in with a mate without breaking position. Listen for it. It's easy to miss against any background noise, but if it's there, it's a strong signal that the freeze is a nest defense rather than a fear response. A frightened or injured dove will be acoustically silent. No contact call. No answering call from elsewhere. The silence isn't peaceful. It's a held breath. This is where the listening you started at the moment of freeze begins to pay off. The body tells you one half of the story. The sound, or its absence, tells you the other. What to do then is mostly the opposite of what most people instinctively try. Move backward, not forward. 3 to 5 meters is usually enough to convert the dove's calculation from freeze and hope to a more relaxed wait. Don't turn your back fully. Don't make eye contact a hard stare. Just put space between you, then stay. 10 minutes. If you have it, watch with peripheral attention while you listen actively. Listen for the squab peep above you. Listen for the rustle of a fledgling in nearby cover. Listen for an answering coo from a partner somewhere in the trees, and note where it comes from. If, at any point, the frozen dove flies, the wing whistle will tell you the bird is healthy enough for normal escape, and the question you came in with is mostly answered. If she doesn't fly for the full 10 minutes, and you've heard no nest sound, no fledgling sound, no answering call, and her posture suggested fear rather than calm, you may be looking at an injured or unwell bird. That's a different situation, and the answer isn't to approach. Most U.S. states have wildlife rehabilitator directories online. That's the path. What you don't do is walk up to check. Doves are easy to stress. Stress, in a bird already running thin, can be the thing that finishes what was already in motion. The next time a mourning dove holds her ground when you'd expect her to leave, The first thing I'd ask you to do is nothing. No step closer. No phone out. No softer voice that the bird can't interpret anyway. Just stop and listen for what isn't there. The wing whistle that didn't happen. The takeoff that should have come and didn't. That absence is the start of every story this scene could be telling. Then listen for what is there. The faint peep from somewhere above you, easy to miss against the wind. The single low-contact call from a tree 15 yards away. The rustle of a small body in nearby grass. Any one of those sounds, if you catch it, gives the freeze a name. Nest. Fledgling. Partner. Without those sounds, the silence itself becomes the data, and the data points somewhere else. For the next week, every time you see a mourning dove on the ground in your yard, walk toward her at your normal pace, and note what happens. Most will flush, and you'll hear the whistle. The ones that don't, the ones that hold position and watch you, those are the ones to stop for. Step back. Stand still. Spend 2 full minutes hearing the space around her, not just looking at her. By the end of a week, you'll have a small catalog of moments. Some will have a clear acoustic explanation. Some won't. Both kinds are useful. The point isn't to solve every freeze. The point is to start treating freeze as the question it actually is, rather than the answer most people mistake it for. She wasn't staring because she liked you. She was staring because moving would cost her something. You have a way of figuring out what that something was now, with your ears as much as your eyes. Tomorrow morning, somewhere near where you live, a dove is going to make this same calculation in front of someone who isn't paying attention. You don't have to be that someone.